Hi students, this is Mr. Yao. Today we are going to talk about the second lesson of reflection. Last time we have learned how to reflect over horizontal and vertical lines. Today we are going to learn how to reflect over slanted lines. First, let's review some stuff we have learned before, which is perpendicular lines. To find the slope of the line perpendicular to the one given. Basically, you are given the slope and you're trying to find a new slope. If you recall, in Unit 7, we have learned perpendicular lines, their slopes would be opposite, reciprocal. And that means we just need the opposite number and flip the fractions. So the first one, negative 2/3, is got to be 3/2. The 5 is 5/1, so it's got to be negative 1/5. Next, draw the line perpendicular to the one given through the given point. So first, we got to identify the given slope. Let's use some points. That is a point, and then that's another point, or actually another point here. That's up 2/1. So the slope that's given is 2/1. That means the one we need is negative 1/2. So we're going to use this point, down 1/2, or up 1 left 2, up 1 left 2, up 1 left 2. And that is going to give us this line that's actually perpendicular to the line that's given. Now the next one, we're going to identify the slope first. So this is a pretty point. That's another pretty point. Up 3/4. So the slope is 3/4. That means the one that we need is negative 4/3. So from point A, down 4/3, or up 4, left 3. That's going to give us a point around here. Slightly off, around here. There we go. So that's something we're going to use for this lesson. In the last lesson, we reflected shapes over horizontal and vertical lines. In this lesson, we are going to reflect shapes over slanted lines. Slanted lines actually means lines that have the slope other than 0, because when it's 0, slope at 0 is actually a horizontal line. Slope that's undefined is actually a vertical line. If you recall, before we have learned slope dude, that's positive, then negative, then nice, and negative. I mean, that's the smooth one, which is 0, and then this is undefined. So that's kind of how the slope works. Slanted lines are referring to the first part, the positive and negative slopes. So for example, y equals 2x. The process is very similar to the last lesson, but it will involve things that we have learned before, which is perpendicular lines. Now let's have a look at the process. To graph an image using a reflection. Draw the line of reflection first. That's the same as the last lesson, first step. This time we are going to need to find the slope of the line of reflection, because we're going to need this slope so that we can actually do the perpendicular stuff. Step 2, from the points of the preimage, draw helping lines perpendicular to the line of reflection. For this perpendicular, if you can directly see it, that's great, that's awesome. Otherwise, we are going to use slopes to help us to identify the perpendicular. After draw the helping lines towards the line of reflection, we are going to then count how far each point of the pre-image is from the line of reflection. Last step, same thing, draw the image. We're just going to extend the helping line the same distance in the opposite direction to actually get the image. Now let's have a look at some examples. Number 1, reflect over the given line. That line is given, so we just need to identify the slope. That's a pretty point, up 1/1, up 1/1, so the slope is 1. That means the slope that we need is negative 1. That's the opposite reciprocal. So here's how this works. Start from point A, negative 1 means the slope negative 1, let's get some points, down 1/1, down 1/1, down 1/1, keep going, down 1/1. Okay, we're going to start drawing lines towards the line of reflection. Okay, I just got to the line of reflection. But it's kind of hard to know exactly how long that is. That's why we're going to use the little squares to help us. You notice, for example, this little square, that first part is basically a full diagonal of that little square. And then this is another square, and this is like half of a diagonal. So we basically have 1.5 diagonal from A to the line of reflection. And we're going to extend the same amount. So first, this part gives us the half, and then we're going to extend another full diagonal, and that is going to give us our A prime. For point B, down 1/1, oh, that's a point, and let's connect them. That's already on the line reflection, and as you can see, that is one full diagonal of a little square. We're going to extend another full diagonal, That's going to give us our B prime. For point C, we can't go down and right anymore because the line of reflection is on the top, on the up left. So we're going to go up one, left one, up one, left one. And you can see we already extend, we already passed the line of reflection, so I can start connecting. That's a full diagonal. Keep going. Oh, that's another half diagonal. That means I need to extend 1.5 diagonals. So here's the half, here's a full one, and that is my point C prime. Here's D, down left one, up one, or actually up one, left one. That's going to give us a point here. Let's connect. And if you look carefully, D to the line of reflection is half a diagonal, and the other part is actually the other half. So we have already extended, and that is going to be our D prime. Lastly, don't forget to connect the shape. So we're going to connect the A and B, and we are going to connect the B and C. We are then going to connect the C and D, and lastly, we're going to connect the D and A. And I actually meant all the primes: A prime to B prime, B prime to C prime, and C prime to D prime, and D prime back to A prime. If you're using pencil, you might want to draw the helping line slightly lighter and draw the actual lines of the shape a bit darker, just because, you know, there are a lot of lines going on here. But that's the basic idea, how we reflect over a slanted line. Now let's try example 2. Same idea. Let's identify the slope first. The slope of this line, that is a pretty point, down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1. So clearly the slope is -1. That means the slope that I need, which is the perpendicular line, is going to be 1. So for C, I can't go up right, so I gotta go down and left. So that's a point, and I can start connecting. And C is actually half a diagonal away, so I'm just gonna use this point as C prime. B, down 1 over 1, down 1, left 1, same thing. If you connect, each side is already half a diagonal, so that I'm gonna use that point. For A, same thing, not up right, we're gonna go down left. Down left, 1, 1, down left, 1, 1, down left, 1, 1. There we go, we got to the line reflection. And that, if you connect, is actually 3 full diagonals away. So I'm going to extend 3 full diagonals. That's 1, 2, and 3. There we go. That's our A prime. Now I can choose to connect my A prime to B prime to C prime, and C prime back to A prime. There's our new shape. That's example 2. Example 3. Well, this time you're just not given the line of reflection. That's all the difference. So you just need to draw the line, which is y equals -x, or y equals -x plus 0. That means my y-intercept is actually at 0. My slope in that case is negative. Don't forget the invisible 1, so it's actually -1x. That means my slope is -1. So it's got to be down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, 1 over 1. Or up 1, left 1, keep going. And that is my line of reflection. I can just connect all the points I just draw. Roughly, there we go. Now let's start generating the new points. The slope currently is -1. That means the one I need is a +1. So H up 1, right 1. There we go. That's half a diagonal away, so I'm just going to use that. I, we can't go up right, so down 1, left 1. That's already on the line reflection. So it's 1 full diagonal away. I'm going to extend another full diagonal away. That's I prime. Oh, I forgot to label that. H prime. J, up 1, right 1. Connect. That is half diagonal away, so that is my J prime. Now it's time to connect. H prime to J prime. J prime to I prime, and I prime to H prime. I should have used a different color. Here it is. There we go. There's our new shape. Next, example 4. Now things are slightly different because we're not just doing slope as 1 or -1 anymore. Look at that slope. That is pretty point, up 1, right 1, right 2. So that means the slope is actually 1/2. So in that case, the slope that I need is going to be a -2. So from any point, I'm going to go down 2 over 1 because -2 is -2 over 1. So from B down 2 over 1, oh, that's the line reflection. So if I connect them, B to the line reflection, That's basically the full diagonal of a 1 by 2 little rectangle. So I'm going to do the same thing, down 2 over 1, extend, and that is my B prime. Now next, I'm going to do the same thing, W, so down 2 over 1, okay, down 2 over 1, oh, line of reflection. If you connect, that's actually 2 full diagonals of 1 by 2 square rectangles. So it's going to go past the V, and then go one more full diagonal of a 1 by 2. That is my W prime. X works the same way, down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1, there we go, connect. That's 2 full diagonals again, so 1 full one and 2 full one. There is my X prime. I just need to connect all the points, so X prime to W prime to V prime, and V prime back to X prime. There we go, there's our reflection. That's example 4. Next, example 5. So from here on out, there's kind of no new concept. You can choose to pause here and do the next examples as practice, and you can come back and check your answers. So next, example 5. My slope currently is up 1 over 1, so that means it's 1. That means the slope I need is a -1. So for the down 1 over 1, there's the line of reflection. Go there. That's a 1 full diagonal. Keep going. That is B prime. For A, same idea. Down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, down 1. Oh, well, it's going to go past. So if I connect, that is actually 2.5 full diagonal. 2.5 diagonals. So I'm going to go the half, and then 1 and 2. There's my A prime. For D, down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1. There's the line reflection. So it's actually 3 full diagonals away. So extend 1, 2, and 3. There's my D prime. Lastly, C prime. Well, C prime you can't go down and right anymore because it's actually already on the down and right side of the line. So I'm going to need to go up and left. And that is half a diagonal away. So there's my C prime. Lastly, I just need to connect all the points. A prime to B prime, B prime to C prime, C prime to D prime, and D prime back to A prime. There's our shape. That's example 5. Example 6. The slope that is given, in this case, down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, so it's got to be -1. That means the slope that I need is a 1. So in that case, let's do that. For S, up 1 over 1, that is actually a full diagonal away, so just extend. There is our S prime. For V, up 1 over 1, same thing, extend. There is my V prime. As for T and U, they are already on the line, so they are their own reflection. But you still need to label them as the new points because we have a new shape. So that is also T prime, and that is also U prime. Now it's time to connect everything. S prime to T prime, T prime to U prime to V prime, and V prime back to S prime. There's our example 6. Next, example 7. So first, let's identify the slope. Up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, so that means my slope is going to be a 2. That means the new slope I need is -1/2. So that means, -1/2. So down 1 over 2. Well, that's not exactly helpful. It's not towards the line of reflection. So we're going to need to go up 1, left 2. Up 1, left 2. Up 1, left 2. There we go. Connect. That is 2 full diagonals away, and the 2 full diagonal of 1 by 2 little rectangles. So we're going to need to extend more. That's a full diagonal. That's another full diagonal. And there's my A prime. For B, up 1, left 2, up 1, left 2, up 1, left 2. That is 3 full diagonals away. So keep going. 1, 2, and 3. There is my B prime. See, up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2. That is 2 full diagonals away. So there we go. And there we go. There is my C. Now I just need to connect everything. A prime to B prime, B prime to C prime, and C prime back to A prime. There's my example 7. Now last one, example 8. This time, let's identify that's a pretty point. That's a pretty point, so it's up 3 over 2. That means the slope I have is 3 over 2 for the given line. In that case, the new slope that I need for a helping line would be negative 2 over 3. So I can't go down right, I gotta go up left. So let's start with C, up 2 over 3. Up 2 over 3. This is the same as 2 over negative 3. So up 2 left 3. That is a full diagonal of a 2 by 3. So that means I need to extend the same of a 2 by 3, one full diagonal. That is my C prime. Now D, that is up 2 over 3, up 2 over 3. That's actually 2 full diagonals away. So I just need to extend past the C. That's my D prime. For E, up 2 over 3. There we go. Connect up 2 over 3. There is my E prime. Lastly, connect everything. C prime to E prime, C prime to D prime, and D prime to E prime. There's my new shape. And that concludes everything for the second lesson of reflection, which is reflection over slanted lines. We are just using a bunch of perpendicular slopes to help us and generate the helping line so we can find the reflection. Thank you.